On today's episode, we pitch Pokémon Journeys. We dig into the newest world of Pokémon. How has it changed? How the hell does this world even work? Should you still watch? Shenanigans abound on The Pitch Pod. Welcome to the Pitch Pod. We are the Pod Squadron, and we are here to pitch you on all things nerdy, geeky, dorky, dweeby, and lame / etc. Hello, hello. Welcome back to episode 1 and or 2, or I don't even know. So we had the intro, which was episode 0. So episode 1, we're going to call it 1. Oh, no, Andrew is signaling 2. Okay, well, we have a mild disagreement here. You know what? That's fine. We're learning as we go.
I was just saying somebody should steal a base.
I'm going to call this, what is episode 1.5? Yeah. What?
Episode B.
Yeah, episode 1.5. How about that?
It'll be like patch note.
Yeah. I mean, we'll make it work. Andrew,
Yo.
You bought a console.
I bought a console.
Talk to me.
Yeah, 2020 turned out, amongst all of the fire and fury, to be the year that I bought a Wii U. It seemed like the right time.
A Wii U.
A Wii U. It is the month of my birth. I had skipped the Wii and Wii U altogether. For some reason, I was in a Discord. People were talking about how there were no games left for the Wii U. They announced Pikmin 3 was coming to the Switch, and there's one game exclusive to the Wii U still left. And for some reason, that was the moment where I went, I'm gonna get this thing. And in the space of 30 minutes, I had decided, asked to be talked out of, went and bought a Wii U from a local place that had one in. So it was $100. I came in. I wanted it as a virtual console machine. So if you Grant, I know you use my Switch online, so you have access to the virtual consoles, and the NES is pretty good, but everything after that is very anemic. So I really just wanted more. I wanted a emulator machine, essentially, but I wanted to do something that would allow me to give my input as a consumer to say, I like these things, give me these things. If you're suddenly seeing if Nintendo's seeing virtual console purchases on the Wii U store, maybe they'll be like, oh, we can make money elsewhere. We can make money.
Yeah, they'll see your one purchase, the one and only purchase of 2020 for the Wii U.
Well, they won't see it because it was reused. They're not making or selling. They didn't see a dime off the Wii U, but they saw the indeterminate amount of money that I spent in the virtual console. I bought a lot of games. They were all pretty reasonably priced. And then I had bought 12 games off the virtual console and realized that I literally had no games for the Wii U on this Wii U. So I bought the Wind Waker HD remaster just to say that I had at least one Wii U game. It's the virtual console's great. It's not as good as the Wii's virtual console.
See, with the Wii U, so obviously I'm not a gamer boy. Don't really game too hard. But Nintendo is my sweetheart, and so I obviously have gotten all the consoles I can get. And the Wii U, I mean, it's objectively not the strongest in the world, but I did literally just use it as an emulator for everything. I mean, I played those Mega Man games.
So much Mega Man.
Game Boy.
Yep.
I ripped it up in that thing on the Wii U with all the Fire Emblem games on the Game Boy. I mean, the NES games, the SNES. I played Super Mario 64.
Mm-hmm. Starbucks 64 is on there.
And besides Smash, yes, no, literally, they had everything. I mean, beyond maybe Smash Bros, I can't remember a game that I legitimately put in more than a few hours on the actual Wii U beyond the ports, but I mean, those ports were dope. And I guess now it's $100. I don't blame you.
Yeah, so I spent more on the games yesterday than I spent on the console. So, and it's neat because I didn't have a Game Boy Advance. I didn't really have a Wii to play. Turns out I need to buy nunchucks and a Wii controller if I want to play any Wii games, but it was a deluxe. It came with this cool faceplate that doesn't play over audio very well, but it's a Super Mario themed faceplate that they just threw in, because who's going to buy a Wii U faceplate nowadays? I started...
That was the only one in stock?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I called some other stores. No GameStops had them around. A local resale shop didn't have them, so I bought it from I found it at a different resale shop. So it was a great, I feel very good about it. I got the Fire Emblem games. I got Paper Mario, which I was very excited about, having never played. Everybody's going off on the Origami King right now, and very excited. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing about Fire Emblem on the little screen looks great. On the big screen, it's kind of rough. But Paper Mario, a Nintendo 64 game, looks like it could have came out last week. The colors need patched up and a little brighter, but all in all, it looks real good. Which is the advantage of that Nintendo art style, is that it actually is timeless.
Oh, exactly. No, there's that's the crazy thing, and obviously we'll talk about Pokemon in a bit, but that's why I think it's stayed so successful. I mean, the art changes have been so minimal over the year, but they are. I mean, it's we still buy those games. We still a slight graphics improvement means a better game, even though they are. I don't know. I love Nintendo.
I don't know. I think as far as the art for Pokemon, I think it has changed.
Oh, yeah. I mean, from beginning to 1 to 8, I was more along the lines of I think people started to kind of chirp up in this current generation where they're okay, now we have the Nintendo Switch. We're going to get this marvelous fucking MMO RPG style game that allows for complete open world exploration, and it's going to have all these models that are just reminiscent of The Last of Us or something like that. And that's just not how Pokemon goes. I mean, that would be hilariously terrifying, but I mean,
look at the super realistic Kyogre here, just
exactly. Have you guys seen? Obviously, Detective Pikachu came out, and I still haven't seen that. I'm a fake fan. But
don't bother, dude.
There's you're not
absolutely bother. It's a perfectly
no
good
recommendation.
I feel like it's gonna be right up my alley.
It's a fine movie.
I feel like it's gonna be right up my alley, Victor. I am.
No, I can't. I wanted to mention a part, but I'm no spoilers.
Well, I was gonna refer to there is. Oh my gosh, I forgot who it was. It might be who does the Castlevania stuff?
The Castlevania
anime?
The Castlevania TV show. Yeah. Oh, Adi Shankar. So Adi Shankar has a YouTube channel where he releases Pokemon content in his world, and it's realistic Pokemon, and it's actually frightening. The Charizard, I feel would kill thousands if he got a little, hangry or something like that. And that just, I've always wanted to say I would love to be in the Pokemon world, but if Pokemon were brought into our world, I mean, we would go to shit in 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Pokemon Journeys taught me, but we'll get into that later.
Right. Oh, for sure. Oh my god. Cool. Victor, do you have anything you want to bring
I'm good. I've had a pretty relaxed weekend. Week. Didn't really get much accomplished myself. So, read the new chapter of Berserk and fucked around, basically. I didn't get much done.
I guess I haven't really accomplished too terribly much this week myself, but I woke up a few days ago for the first time in quite a while. I'm not really a heavy drinker, but I woke up severely hungover. I had, I think, probably 2 White Claws, and was feeling like absolute crap the next day because I just can't process alcohol of any kind. I'm probably letting all my brethren down by saying that, but that is who I am now. I am I feel like I'm mentally 80 in the body of a 23-year-old. But anywho, very hungover, and I decided to just put on some mind-numbing SpongeBob, and I think I understand why people love it so much. I mean, when my brain capacity was at its lowest, Because I had always loved SpongeBob when I was a kid, and then like when I got into my angsty teen years, I was like, oh my god, this stuff sucks. And I put on some SpongeBob when I was hungover, when I was at my lowest, and I was like, this is the best show of all time. Even like, well, obviously okay, Andrew, you're shaking your head, but seasons 1 through 3, like those are, classic. The memes are there. Time Out, what's up?
I'm just shaking my head because I disapprove of any of your decisions, from drinking a White Claw to watching SpongeBob. No season of SpongeBob would change my opinion on you watching the SpongeBob. So the specifics of which SpongeBob writer wrote the best SpongeBob does not move the needle for me in any way. So just to cut off where it seemed like you were going, the producer of the which producer between season 2 to season 3, that change, I don't care. It doesn't affect my stance on SpongeBob.
Oh, why are you a SpongeBob hater, man?
Not
too intellectually challenged for you?
I'm an adult, yeah. And I don't get high, and never have. So.
That's a very good point.
I don't know. I think like that
That's a very good point.
Well, I think I was on your side up until a few days ago, where I could kind of just like turn off my brain, because I feel like I'm always like moving on to the next thing. I need to analyze everything in this world. But when I couldn't really even do my ABCs from like how exhausted I was, I saw it and I was like, this shit's hilarious. Obviously I don't dare to watch it right now, where I'm 2 cups of coffee deep.
Yeah, that's more like an Ed and Eddie type situation.
Oh, the frenetic stuff, man. Those like those cartoons always bother me, just because like, I don't know, have you guys seen Uncle Grandpa?
I haven't. I know what it is, but I haven't seen it. My kid cousin watches it all the time.
Well, I guess, yeah. I mean, seen is relative. I haven't invested time into it, but like, it's one of those shows that, I mean, it's universally hated, but it's kind of like in the Teen Titans Go realm, where the show is literally a bunch of kids on Adderall, a bunch of non-ADHD kids on Adderall, bouncing around, doing whatever random shit for 20 minutes. And it is exhausting. Like, I come in, I am hyped up, and then I watch an episode, and I want to take a nap just from like my mind racing with them. It is, I don't know. It's brutal. Let the record show, Andrew is a complete and utter hater for all things good and wholesome, as a resident old guy should be.
I like Detective Pikachu.
He's got you there. He likes it. I didn't. So I guess I'm the old guy there.
Well, what about Detective Pikachu did you like?
Seeing my childhood on the screen. I thought it was charming.
I liked Ludicolo.
Like, did it have
I liked Ludicolo. That's
yeah. Ludicolo was very good.
That's all I'm adding.
As a barista. Yeah, I loved Mr. Mime, which I'll bring up later. I thought, ultimately a story about fathers and sons connecting will always be either in my wheelhouse or adamantly despised, depending on where I'm at emotionally at that time in my life. But I thought it was a very charming movie that didn't try to be more than it was.
Well, I mean, I don't think that makes perfect sense, and I'm the type of moviegoer where if a film wants me to feel emotion of any kind, I'm going to feel it in full force. Like I was watching Toy Story 2 a few days ago, and I mean, I cried, and it's not even a sad movie. Like, there's a scene where what was it, Weezer or
Wheezy?
Who is the penguin? Wheezy, yeah, Weezer, not the band.
No, the rapper.
Wheezy, yeah. Oh, yeah. But Wheezy was like about to die or something like that. Or no, he gets taken. And I mean, yeah, I choked up. No lie.
For me, it's more of like, I don't know. I feel like if there's any emotion if they want to like convey a certain feeling, they have to earn it to a certain degree. I think a good example, I mean, this is kind of like straying away from movies, right? In this case, it'd be a video game, but in The Last of Us, like that opening scene, I don't know, have either of you played The Last of Us?
I haven't played, but I mean, I feel like everyone's watched the scene.
Oh. Yeah. Well, there's like a really early death. I'm talking like right at the
beginning. And yeah,
you know what I'm talking about with the kid and the...
I think we both know what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't get anything out of that personally. Like, I understand the relationship.
No.
And I was like, that sucks, but I'm not like invested now. You know what I mean?
Oh no, I felt it immediately. I didn't even play the game, but I just watched it. I watched and I was definitely feeling some type of way.
Victor, I think the better example for you would be something that did move you, because so far you hate everything that's good and are unmoved by any and are a cold stone.
No, what?
So really, just to prove to anybody that you're human, I think you should
I have
just
a great
be like,
example actually. The Prince of Egypt, fantastic movie.
Oh my god,
I just hate everything good.
Oh, this just right. This transvex into something else. All right. So after all of that rambling, I guess we can finally start talking about some headlines.
the Raised by Wolves trailer looks real good. I never heard of this show.
Yeah, so the Raised by Wolves came out. The trailer, there it is. Have you seen it, Victor? Because Andrew said that he thought it looked interesting.
Actually.
You have any idea what I'm talking about? So Raised by Wolves is a new show on HBO Max. It's going to be released in September, I believe. September is going to be huge on my watch list. Also got The Boys Season 2 on there. But Raised by Wolves in particular is going to be a new one produced by the legendary Ridley Scott. A little premise from good old Wikipedia, right? Basically what it seems to be about is these two androids are tasked with raising kids on this new planet. Yeah, and so like it's gonna, and it does definitely seem to influence itself heavily with like Ridley Scott. I don't think Ridley is going to be, it doesn't seem to be the primary producer. That looks to be Aaron Guzikowski, who I am not too familiar with his work. I've seen Prisoners, the movie, but beyond that, that's about all I got. But yeah, I mean, the trailer itself looked super trippy. It looked very Ridley, and I am excited to invest my week into something new.
I'm a little bit cautious about Ridley Scott's work overall. Like, I personally think he can be a little hit or miss sometimes. But I'll definitely watch the trailer, and for sure I'll give him a fair shake.
I don't actually know what his relationships, I mean, that's just off the top of my head, like just TV shows. Like, I don't know what TV shows he's ever done.
I don't think about TV shows. But his, like, as far as his movies, like, there hasn't been anything recent of his. I mean, if by recent we mean like within the last 10 years, I think The Martian was pretty good, but, I didn't like either of the Alien movies. But on the other hand,
Are you talking about like the recent
Prometheus.
Alien movies,
like
or just
Alien
Alien
Covenant, and then Prometheus, which I count as an Alien
Prometheus.
movie.
Okay, right. I don't even know what the hell that thing was.
But my boy wrote Blade Runner, so I'll give him a shot. And Black Hawk Down, which were both fantastic. So yeah, I'm interested just by the pitch. Ridley Scott, androids raising children, HBO. All right.
I think personally, and this is kind of getting aside, but I think HBO is killing it
for sure. Westworld, Game of Thrones,
with their streaming service. Well, just like the HBO Max, I feel like HBO Max itself has risen faster and more effectively as a competitor to Netflix than any other service thus far, at least in like the short time period. Obviously, it's to be determined how will they continue. I do feel like HBO has always produced great content first, as like their primary benefit, like, and then like allowing their great content to sell their product instead of selling product and then hopefully making great content.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm personally excited for this one, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. I would just love to see how Scott handles a television show versus a movie.
Yeah. Looks like he directed the first 2 episodes. I would imagine his involvement with this is going to be like Fincher and House of Cards. Like, he'll direct a couple episodes here and there, and they'll add his name to it to drum up interest. But after he does his episodes, aside from probably in general knowing what the story is supposed to be, he's probably just like Spielberg has more production credits than anybody like in the world, because anybody who does a movie through DreamWorks, that's Steven Spielberg's studio, so he gets so many production credits.
Right.
But yeah, you're right, Victor. He has not had a good 2010s. Had a pretty good 2000s. He did American Gangster.
American Gangster?
Well, that was in the 90s.
Gladiator?
But
I thought Gladiator was 2000, at least 2003.
Oh, sorry. That was the cutoff. That was my thinking. That was my bad. But yeah, he had Gladiator, Magic Men, which is a very underrated Nick Cage movie in the vein of sometimes he's real good, sometimes he's not.
I totally forgot that he directed American Gangster.
Yeah, I did too until I was looking on the IMDb page. But the producer who did it produced Blade Runner 2049. Is that the right year?
2049.
Yeah.
With Denis Villeneuve? No, wait, sorry. I'm getting this all wrong. The produced Prisoners was a Denis V joint, and he's gone on to do 2049 and the upcoming Dune movie. So the guy probably knows sci-fi. That was ultimately where I was taking it. This show is probably in good hands. I did not get the pitch from the trailer. I would have swore that it was only one android raising these folks, and then Viking-looking guy who always plays Vikings is coming in playing Space Viking. So I wouldn't necessarily have gotten the synopsis. Just the dude, Travis.
From the trailer itself, yeah.
Travis Fimmel, it looks like. Anyway, yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I can, whatever Ridley does, though, like, what he does well is he typically has, he's never surface level with Ridley. There's always something underneath. There's always some sort of undertone, some sort of thematic element that he wants to explore. And this definitely looks to be that. So I'm ready to challenge my big boy brain, hopefully, a little bit here. Anywho, Andrew.
Yeah, you want to talk about The Boys? The Boys trailer is out. Looks like more of The Boys. I got comments
The Boys
on Warren
plus
Ellis.
more boys.
Because he's also canceled.
Who and who?
Warren Ellis is the guy who wrote the graphic novels for The Boys that the source material is based on.
He is. Well, the graphic novel for The Boys is notably out there.
Yes.
Definitely was toned. And for the show, Victor, obviously, I don't know if you've seen
to it, but I have
the show itself is, I mean, I love it personally. It is a very, very aggressively gory and violent and expletive-laden show. And apparently the graphic novel makes the TV show look like Teletubbies.
I read the graphic novel.
From what I've been told. Oh, well, what is your thoughts?
I haven't watched the show.
Ask? Damn, okay, yeah. Well, apparently it's toned down. But yeah, I do know the graphic novel in itself is particularly notorious for being a little too much at times.
Definite understatement on Ellis's work. If you haven't read Preacher, you should. But I was just meaning he's also a person who's...
Wasn't Preacher also adapted recently?
Yes, they did an FX show
on AMC
that was supposed to be very good, I heard. But I'm afraid of vampires, so I can never watch it. My headline came from Vice.com by Patrick Klepek and Lauren Gurley. Stuck on what we were talking about. One of the big things that's come around video game culture lately is working conditions and crunch and forcing your workers suddenly to work 20-hour days for 3 to 4 months at a time to make sure you get a game put out, and not necessarily sharing the benefits of all that work for them. So this has become a more public thing. So the writers at Lovestruck, which specializes in visual novel games, I think for Steam, but I'm not 100% sure. The writers wanted better pay. The company said no. So the writers went on strike, and the company said, and decided to form a union. The company said, you guys can't form a union. You're contract workers. It's legally impossible for you to form a union. To which the union replied, well, we're all in this together, so you can call it what you want, essentially. So the company then tried to start negotiating, like, okay, we'll talk about payment and everything, but we'll do it one at a time, which is standard company practices for breaking up unions. So the union's only strong when everyone sticks together. If you start picking people off, then it's not powerful anymore. So they said, nope, we're not going to do that. So initially, rumor was that they had just gone ahead and shit-canned everybody. Then it started reporting that they shit-canned everybody, and they said, no, sorry, talks are ongoing. We're not, because they were getting a lot of flack for firing a bunch of people. So it came out earlier this week that they won their pay raise after a 21-day strike. So they are back to work writing visual novels, which for me personally seems like its own form of hell. But if you enjoy that type of thing, then, it's one more, I guess if you are looking for visual novels, Lovestruck now seems like a thing. It's so weird being a consumer because, Last of Us 2, major amounts of crunch. They announced this new Assassin's Creed game. The people at the environment at Ubisoft has been reported to have numerous workplace sexual assault violations and everything else. And I don't even know what it is to be a responsible consumer anymore as somebody who likes video games. There's a report out right now that says Blizzard, which is the company behind World of Warcraft, their CEOs are living high life buying yachts, and employees are struggling to make ends meet. So unionization in video games is a big hot topic issue at the moment. So hopefully, we see more victories. I'd never heard of Love Struck before this, but hopefully this is a forerunner to some good changes in the industry.
Hopefully this is the good ending and not the bad ending.
Yeah.
That's the only concept of visual novels I know, is that there's a good ending, there's a bad ending. And then if you pick this one thing, you hit the good ending, and then whatever.
Sounds like you're ready for the Persona
Can we wait, but real quick. So I have no idea what a visual novel is. From what you just described, and I'm pointing to Grant, it kind of, is it like a Telltale game, basically? Or what's the situation? It's like a choose-your-own-adventure comic book on the internet?
Literally, I mean, most are not near the click and talk to everyone style of a Telltale game.
Oh.
Usually it's essentially like a book that you go through. It's a visual book, right? And then you pick different options. And I'm totally underselling the hell out of this. And if you really like visual novels, I am so sorry. I'm just not on your side here. Basically, there's two options you go through.
I think one of the more famous examples is the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney games.
Oh.
So those are generally lumped in as visual
That's
novels.
a fun way to do it.
Yes, probably the most famous example we've got.
But if you can't handle Ace Attorney,
then you can't handle whatever's on
well, I mean,
Steam.
there's also there's the one that went crazy a few years ago, or at least I think it was a few years ago now. It was the Doki Doki Literature Club, and I remember that being like trending on YouTube everywhere. Essentially, it's about like these innocent little girls or whatever that want to start a book club or something. I also might just be making this up, but it's something about a book club, but it ends up like one of the girls is like a psychopathic killer, and then I think you die or something like that, and then you come back to life. It's it goes from cute innocent girls to solving a murder.
Japanese and having cute like tiny anime girls kill each other violently.
That's the dichotomy of life.
Yeah,
Victor.
it's a spice. Are you living life if you haven't seen a cute anime girl kill another cute anime girl?
That sounds like a pitch pod after dark.
That's my pitch for the next.
They always say your protagonist should be complex, right? And I think what is more complex than cute anime girl with slightly psychopathic tendencies?
I would argue that it seems far more common, at least in animes that get popular in the West, that the protagonist is not complex at all. But hey, we're about to talk about Pokemon, so
let's talk about non-complex protagonists. Segue.
Hey, let's transition. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. All right. Hey, yeah. So let's go and talk about our pitch numero uno, Pokémon Journeys. So we spent the last 7 days mildly obsessing over Pokémon Journeys, which was on the first 12 episodes on Netflix. Go give it a watch if you haven't already. This series has taken us to not only the Galar region, but actually everywhere. So Ash Ketchum is back, still 10 years old, and Go, his new best buddy, who is an interesting cat in his own, and they go all across the Pokemon world. Just essentially what it looks like is they're part of this co-op, and they're 10-year-old Pokemon researchers, which I honestly think probably disobeys some sort of labor law.
I mean, if you want to get into disobeying laws, there's the fact that they're off gallivanting around the country while Chloe's going to school. Like,
yeah, the whole school thing kind of puts because it doesn't even seem like it's because there was always Pokemon school, but this is just like school. And Chloe's a person that I want to talk about, and we've had discussions throughout the week because Chloe and Chloe's mom don't really seem to care about Pokemon, which is totally cool. Floats your boat, whatever. But it brings up the question, other professions in Pokemon, and are they frowned upon? Is it frowned upon to be a trainer? What is like, because her mom is an illustrator, which is the most vague profession of all time.
Almost as vague as Pokemon Master.
Right.
She wanted to be an artist when she was younger, and then she was like, no, and then she became an illustrator, which is kind of the same thing, isn't it?
The same thing. And then the worst part was she was like, I've never really had much success as an illustrator, but it's kind of fun. You should do what you think is kind of fun.
Just kind of. Just kind of fun.
Yeah, like, I have my passion didn't really work out, but I mean, I'm making a decent living and I have a husband and kids.
I honestly felt like I missed an episode with them because for a little,
What?
I felt like I missed an episode with them because later on there's the episode that starts with Chloe even younger, and it's her with her mom and dad, and I felt like that was the first time I was seeing the mom at like episode 11.
Yeah,
and I thought we were going to get some. Yeah, I thought we were going to get some hardcore character development where Chloe's living with her dad, and the mom has either died or left, and I thought maybe that's why Chloe has disassociated from everything is because her parents got divorced. And I was ready for this whole thing and writing it in my head. I was like, Pokemon's getting okay. It's getting good, getting interesting. It's going to teach kids how to cope with loss and all this stuff. And then Chloe's mom just shows up to bring lunch, and I'm like, I have never seen you before in this episode, and you're just like, you forgot your lunch, Chloe.
Yeah, well, I guess that's where the mistake was made to expect any sort of character development from Pokemon, which is just it's upsetting, right? Because like one of the things that I wanted to talk about was just Ash in general. I haven't seen the show in quite a while, but what I did realize, and total Pokemon spoilers, oh no, apparently he wins the league in the last series. Like, he's a Pokemon master officially, right? And then he goes from being a literal Pokemon master to a doofus is the word that comes to my mind.
Kind of like what they did to Goku in Super.
Right, yeah, I'm just like why do...
Are you
obviously the
Goku
show
was
is for kids, right? But the show is for kids.
Fair point.
Yeah, but I think there's a line to delineate. like 25 years ago, Ash was still a doofus, right? Like, he was still not, or I guess rather, Ash was still not the sharpest knife in the shed, right? But now he just doesn't seem to know anything.
I would argue that no, Ash does in fact. I did not get the impression that Ash had a restart, because Ash really does know things. Like, Ash's emotional intelligence is off the charts. Like, his intuitive, empathetic knowledge is extreme. He's still you still get the same dumb battling that you always get, where he's like, Pikachu, use Thunderbolt on this rock ground type, and somehow it works. But the show is consistent in its inconsistencies on that. Like, Ash is smarter than Go in a lot of ways. He's the one who's just like, leave the Ivysaur alone. It's going to get where it needs to go. He's the one who's like, you don't need to interfere in the Dragonite interacting with the other Pokemon. And then he's the one who was like, oh, that Talow's threatening that Wurmple. We actually need to act on that. Like, Ash is the one who can delineate serious situations from not serious situations in most cases, especially where it involves Pokemon. Go's big thing is that he knows how to catch a train.
Right. He follows an itinerary.
But he has actual intelligent quotients, not the emotional intelligent quotients.
Yeah.
So I think from a learning standpoint, it's much better. Like, it's actually more complex than it typically is in terms of what it's showing. Like, it's showing kids, because every Pokemon series is treated as like it's going to be somebody's first. So it's giving the kids two people to look to, and to identify with. It's here's the emotional kid, and here's the analytical kid. And I've got two nephews. They both fit that type. They probably both like Ash and or Pikachu versus Scorbunny and or Go.
Right. No, that's an interesting point. I do feel like that in the process of that emotional maturity, a good portion of sensible maturity was sacrificed. And it didn't seem like that he is beyond the power of friendship and loving everything and, peace and love. He understood the real world, even after traveling through 6 different regions. But, 7 different regions? I don't even know.
Something I find strange about like the series being what it is right now is that it doesn't really seem cumulative. It doesn't really seem like his prior experience is reflected like in this current saga, I guess you could say, in this current arc or whatever. Like,
yeah.
I remember there was a particular episode where he competes in a Pokemon tournament, the one with the Hariyama, and he uses this like freshly caught, it was Mr. Mime. It was Mr. Mime and Pikachu, and I'm like, cool that he's using Mr. Mime, but he literally has like all of these other Pokemon that he's caught over the years, and he just doesn't feel like using them.
Yeah, that's my other big
I don't
complaint.
know. I thought that was kind of strange. Also, there was one part where Go comments on how good Ash is at catching Pokemon, and Ash, he says something along the lines of like, yeah, I've been doing it, and I'm like, he's gonna say for the last 25 years, right? He's gonna say I've been doing this for the last 25 years. No, he's like, I've been doing this a long time, or some shit like that. It was something like dismissive of how actually long he's been doing this, and I was like, that's.
You don't want to know how long I've been doing this.
And I was
for.
like, that's insane. That's out of here, man.
I thought it was interesting. That's one of my big complaints about the show, is that he only uses Pikachu, essentially. Except for that Mr. Mime episode, and I thought Mr. Mime was exquisite in that episode.
Me too. Love
Mr. Mime's OP, dude.
Mr. Mime's having a great moment after being the breakout star of Detective Pikachu.
I still need to watch it. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm watching Detective Pikachu. You've convinced me. But with, one thing I wanted to bring up that I think is very interesting now is to see where it goes. I mean, Ash's team is, I guess, I don't know if Mr. Mime is really on the team officially, but it's Mr. Mime, Pikachu, and freaking Dragonite. And it's definitely, I obviously haven't checked too far in advance, but it seems like Gengar is on the team as well, or at least will be. But like, that's stacked.
Pikachu's got to be a level 1,000 by now.
Oh, no, I mean, he's broke.
They're doing a lot of like first gen pandering. You got Dragonite, Gengar, Pikachu, they're all on his team. Mr. Mime.
Oh, Gengar is on the team?
I mean, I guess you just said it. I just assumed that he'd be on the team. I assumed that they would give Gengar some more time to like marinate, if that makes sense. Because when he escapes, you're just like, oh, he's the big bad, I guess, equivalent as big bad as you could get in Pokemon,
Standing menacingly on the top of, I think, the research lab after suddenly haunting it, which has convinced me that I don't want to live in a Pokemon world if Gengars just suddenly show up to murder you where you in your home. In addition to Team Rocket, who exists to show up and murder you in your home and steal your Pokemon.
Yeah, man, that's that's such like a weird point, right? Because like there's so many asinine qualities of the Pokemon world that these people just live with, and it doesn't even seem like they have relative like precautions against them. Like there's an episode where Snorlax just becomes Gigantic Snorlax, right? And blocks a train, and it looks like the train is going to run into Snorlax and kill 1,000+ people. And they only survive by the heroism of AshxGoh. But like, is there no precaution like against wild Pokemon? And then, the I looked it up, the Eternatus, which is the legendary Pokemon, is literally just flying with them on the train, or on the plane ride to Galar. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know how it's either.
And it's just
no, I wasn't. I was agreeing with you. Like I was finishing your side. I wasn't trying to correct you. Might be. I honestly have no idea how it's pronounced.
Nice. I think it's Galar. But yeah, like literally on the plane ride to Galar, they have Eternatus, just this 1,000-foot freakazoid snake thing, god creature, just casually flying by, and like an accidental whip of his tail could just once again ground them, and they're not even scared. They're just like, oh, what was that? That's kind of weird.
I think I agree with you because my concern about like how legendary Pokemon just seem to pop up out of nowhere actually started with like Lugia, literally just popping up in the middle of a city. I'm like, you're telling me this is a legendary Pokemon, but they're that easily available that they're just gonna pop up at Viridian City and there's like 10 people waiting for them? Like, I personally thought it was gonna be Rayquaza, which also would have been insane.
Half the episodes had legendaries. Almost half, at least a quarter.
No, yeah, actually not. I think hopefully they're just front loading it to get everyone
Mew shows up,
bought in
Lugia
or whatever.
shows up, and then Eternatus.
Ho-Oh.
What's that other one? Ho-Oh, fucking Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh just pops up. Although I like
Ho-Oh, which is the worst name of all time.
I like his appearance though, because it's for like a second.
And also, Ho-Oh gives you all the stuff that's happened to Ash before has happened. Because he goes, I saw Ho-Oh on the first day of my journey 25 years ago. Which I feel like they did some interesting writing stuff where they incorporated some of the fan conspiracies and comments that, why does Dragonair evolve into Dragonite? Dragonite's a derpy looking dragon, and Dragonair's this majestic
when they
snake
talk about
thing.
that was good. I liked that. I also liked how they seem to acknowledge the games more, slightly in this series. I remember Ash was asleep and he's sleeping with a substitute doll. I'm like, dude, that's perfect. I know what that is. That's totally used in that move.
Well, the substitute doll is Clefairy. He was sleeping with Snorlax.
No. It's the green thing now. They changed it from Clefairy to the green thing.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking of the original and the Pokemon card.
No, you're right. The OG was Clefairy or something, but the newer substitutes are a green gummy bear that doesn't really look like any kind of Pokemon.
Oh, I thought he was sleeping with a Snorlax.
Yeah.
But I agree with you with the point you made earlier about how there doesn't seem to be any precautions for Pokemon severely messing up and causing wanton destruction. Because I could buy the episode with a Snorlax that was just chilling in an alleyway and blocking them, and I was I could imagine Ivysaur causing a traffic jam or a Snorlax or Tauros. But for a Snorlax to cause a massive train accident because it Gigantamaxed for no reason.
And in the last episode, the total cliffhanger with the I forgot the name
Dreadnought.
of the Pokemon because it's one of the newer ones, but that also Dreadnought just Dynamaxing and essentially just causing severe property damage to the stadium. How often does this happen, and how high are Pokemon World taxes to be able to fix these public institutions?
That's a good question, because couldn't they use I don't know, a Pokemon that knows Rock Tomb to throw all the cement in place and just have Machoke and a bunch of other Pokemon do it for them? They use Pokemon for moving services.
2 points. Yeah. Number one, to see Pokemon interacting with people in daily life in a very good way. Victor, even your Stoneheart should agree. Pokemon Detective Pikachu does an excellent job of incorporating Pokemon into the actual city.
You're not wrong. I mean, I think that they could have gone further actually with it, but I mean, I get Ludicolo as Ludicolo would be a perfect bartender. Because you literally carry the drinks. It literally carries the drinks on its lily pad sombrero. And there's no way Ludicolo wouldn't be the mascot of On the Border or some shit like that. But Ludicolo was the star in that movie.
You guys haven't played Sword and Shield, but I'm pretty sure the second half, the trailer, we're leading into one of the plot points from Sword and Shield with the cliffhanger ending. Or it could do a very Pokemon thing and just do a cliffhanger ending and then wrap it up in 5 minutes and then be okay, well, we're going somewhere else now, and it not mean anything.
Yeah, I mean, I that's more of my interpretation of what's going to go down. But one thing I wanted to bring up, actually, and we've kind of hinted at, is the concept of the Gigantamax and the Dynamax. For the past 3-4 generations now, I'm gonna call them gimmicks. I know that obviously you can agree or disagree with whatever. I'm just gonna refer to them all as gimmicks. But the Mega Evolution, the Z moves, and now this. I think it's important to know that obviously as we age and things, we become more or less disaffiliated from Pokemon itself. Obviously I might have different biases, but I didn't mind Mega Evolution. I thought it was pretty cool, different, a very interesting out there attempt, and I think overall it worked. But then it kind of got thrown away for the Z move, which frankly I wasn't as big of a fan of. But I could understand why it was there. And now this, I really don't see this feels like the most gimmick, the expansive Pokemon or whatever. This doesn't feel like something that would organically be in this universe.
Just basically, my opinions as far as like Dynamaxing is they took Mega Evolutions and Z moves and combined them into this new thing, because that's, I mean, essentially what it is in game. Like they Dynamax, they get a new form, and now they have access to all these new moves, or well, like an adjusted, like Dynamax moves basically. But honestly, right. I thought the Mega Evolutions were cool, but I saw the hole immediately. I was like, as soon as you make one Mega Evolution, everyone's gonna be like, well, where's the Mega Evolution for Electivire or Magmortar or for, I mean, those are like the first two examples that come to mind, right? But the point is, everyone's gonna expect a Mega Evolution, and at that point, why don't you just make new Pokemon?
Right. Well, I mean, no, I think that's kind of like the point. Is like, I remember when Gen 7 was coming out, and everyone's like, oh, what's the new Mega Evolution's gonna be? And then it turns out we don't really, okay, we're done with that now. Here's Z move. And now even the Z moves aren't even really being continuated. So I'm not really high on big Pokemon.
But you never played.
I played a little bit of the games, and like, I think the obviously I don't really play competitive Pokemon in general. So I don't really know what it feels like on that sense. I just overall, whenever I was watching it and whenever I played my very minimal experience, I just didn't think it really stuck.
I think that the point of Mega Evolutions was to add a new mechanic into the game that would help with balancing. But really, I think what they really need to do is rebalance the Pokemon. They really need to get in the guts and decide like, yo, this Pokemon is supposed to do these two roles. Kind of like what they do with like League of Legends or any other like MOBA. Is that the right term? I can't believe it. Yeah. We're
MOBA?
Talking about like the competitive games where you use lanes and yada yada yada, like
Pokemon will be a MOBA in next year, so it's
right.
fine.
So basically, I think that's what they should do with Pokemon. They should decide, hey, this is the role of this Pokemon. You can use it for multiple things, but it's primarily good for these three things, because that's what the meta does anyway. And I'm casually interested in competitive Pokemon. Like, I'll watch the videos about competitive Pokemon as like this weird interest that I have. It's just so eclectic. But my personal interest in Pokemon kind of waned around Gen 4, way before Mega Evolution. Or anything like that. So I can't really speak to the massive effect that Mega Evolutions and all that had. I really do think they should just rebalance Pokemon so they can stop introducing gimmicks to get attention.
I have continued to play Pokemon. The only gen I haven't had any experience with is Black and White. But I have played Sword and Shield, and I played it preloaded on my Nintendo Switch. I woke up at 5. I took off work. I woke up at 5 in the morning to start playing it, and hitting your first gym, doing a Gigantamax, like in the gigantic soccer stadium. The music is intense. Like, it feels real good, especially if you're playing on a TV. Gigantamax as a mechanic through the single player feels really good. I don't do competitive. I'm not really interested in competitive, but from what I've heard of people talking, people like Gigantamax fine because it adds this element of you only get 3 turns as a Gigantamax Pokemon, and if you sub it out, your Gigantamax is done. You only get 1 each match. So you're now in a contest of which Gigantamax are they going to use? Which one should I use? Should I use it out of the gate? If I do it wrong, then I'm effed. Like, that was the one thing, like, in keeping with Pokemon internal battle never being consistent, the moment I saw Red Gyarados versus Charizard, I went, well, this shouldn't even be a match. Why is this going to be a thing? And then, whenever they Dynamax, don't get me wrong, that first Aqua Tail should have destroyed the Charizard, because everybody knows Pokemon matches are only one-move matches. But the moment they Giganta and Dynamaxed, and that was the subtle difference, Gyarados, I think, Gigantamaxed, Charizard Dynamaxed, which means it got special things happen to it.
Dynamaxed, yeah.
The Gigantamax Thunder move absolutely would destroy the Gyarados, so that had at least a bit of believability. It should have never got to that point, if we're talking about believability, but whatever.
Well, I think you introduce a very good perspective as the gamer side of it. And I think one thing that I've kind of just immediately come to the realization, and honestly I should have earlier, that the Pokemon by its true form, while it is essentially a multimedia icon, by and large its first and foremost influence the games. Right. And so you do something like the gimmick of the Dynamax and the Gigantamax. You introduce these things for the game. Right. And now, as a byproduct, the anime will have to adjust. Right. And so as someone that I guess we are watching as viewers and not as gamers, we're kind of just, they're essentially playing with the cards they were dealt, instead of it being like it's not like they were just going to ignore Dynamax in general, because that is what is introduced in the game. If it works in the game,
I think that the introduction of,
by and large,
like all of these concepts that they have, the gimmicky ones, as we're calling them, the gimmicks, right? I understand that the show has to implement them, and I don't really have a problem with that, but I do think that the formula of the show, personally, it doesn't work for me. When I watch the show, I would personally prefer a version where this is a guy who's legitimately trying to complete the Pokedex for every region, and that's his main motivation, and maybe he wants to be Pokemon Master too. Like, I'll watch those sick fights. I'm totally down for that. But, in my opinion, the show, it's good. Like, it single-handedly made me like the Galar region. It really did. I was like,
it surpassed my
I was
expectations.
not into it, and then I saw it in the show, and I was like, okay, cool. I've come around. I've decided that I'm okay with this. That was a benefit of watching the show. But honestly, of my own volition, I don't think I would watch it all that much.
One thing I do want to not like trash everything, and obviously we went on to the Dynamax a lot, and it is a big gripe. One thing I wasn't sold on Go initially. Victor or Andrew mentioned the catchphrase a couple times leading up to this. And then, the first couple episodes, like, okay, this guy's a twerp. But, I think that he definitely introduces a good balance to Ash. And something that I literally just realized yesterday, Pokemon Go doesn't, involve the actual true battle, right? Go, boom. Yes, that blew my mind. And he catches everything, and it's actually, obviously, that completely tears up the dynamic of what I thought a Pokemon battle would be, but whatever. It's been fun to kind of just watch, because I think the euphoric feeling that, because as someone that growing up that loved Pokemon, the best feeling I got was catching Pokemon, and so to have that literally every episode, just throw Pokemon, caught. Feels good. I think he introduces a really cool dynamic that was kind of needed from Ash. That everyone, all those jokes of Ash has been a Pokemon trainer for how long now and only has 40 Pokemon. Go has 40 Pokemon.
Real quick, have you started?
Yeah, exactly.
Have you started that yet? I know you said you were going to start that before your trip or something.
I'm definitely going to start it on the trip.
I kind of wanted to... I should have told you a couple days ago. There was actually a community day where you could catch Magikarp everywhere, and you kind of need that to get a Gyarados. You need to catch a disgusting amount of Magikarp. Yeah, it was yesterday. So...
8-8 at the time of this recording.
Might be my guy, but you just missed a primo opportunity for that shit.
Fine, I guess the optimization of my Pokemon Go play is probably ruined. I'll have fun nonetheless swiping on my phone in Colorado. I guess Andrew, I want to hear your thoughts on Go.
I think Go is fine. I feel like because obviously Pokemon's whole point as the biggest selling media franchise between games, merch, anime, and everything else, it is the most profitable, biggest selling, popular entity on the planet. Fact. It feels, and the anime exists to sell plushies and cards and everything else. And it feels like this show is selling 2 games. It feels like it's selling Sword and Shield, but they already kind of did Twilight Wings to sell Sword and Shield. And it feels also like it's an outdated back reference to trying to sell Pokemon Let's Go and Pokemon Go. Just from how they shoehorn in, I think at the end of one of the episodes they said, "Let's go!" And it just felt very cringy. Go as a character is fine. Like I said, I think what he represents as a counterpoint to Ash is valuable, especially valuable for kids. If I wasn't watching for the podcast, I would have watched the first 3 episodes of this show and said, yep, that's some Pokemon, and either stopped watching or fast forwarded to the last episode. And honestly, I went in last night to finish up the back half and thought, they really do a way too long recap. I could probably get by just going to the last episode and watching this, but I didn't.
You're committed to the cause. We appreciate you, soldier.
I wouldn't have engaged with it further if I didn't feel obligated to. But for kids, again, it should be treated as everybody's first Pokemon, just like the Pokemon games always treat themselves as somebody's first Pokemon game. So I guess my ultimate question sum up is, what would a show made for you at your age now look like if suddenly Pokemon was Adult Swim?
I don't want Pokemon to be age appropriate for me, if that makes sense. I almost love the fantastical element of it being, I'm not saying I want it to be as kiddie as Sun and Moon was, or, even like this. I would love it to be a little bit age more mature, but I think you brought up Twilight Wings. That's literally the Pokemon I want. I love and obviously I don't think that's something I can get, but I love the side stories. I love the world. Ash is more or less kind of what I'm tired of. And I understand what he represents as the sponge. But I would love a world where we just explore how Pokemon interact with humans and the moral questions that come about. And for those that have no idea what I'm talking about, there is, I think, 9 or 10 episodes up on YouTube, each about 7 to 10 minutes long, where they're just little short series of encapsulated episodes of just random people interacting with Pokemon. And it's definitely a more mature look. It's definitely quite noticeably not aimed directly at the exact. It is for Pokemon fans, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Already established fans. And if I had my way, that's exactly what I would want, is to be able to explore that world and every single inch of it.
Myself, I think that Pokemon Origins was exactly what I want. Exactly what I would want as a series. I don't know, because there's a Pokemon manga, and they have different protagonists, much like the games do. They're all named after the colors that they represent. So gold, silver, red, blue, yada yada. I don't necessarily know if I'd wanted to follow that. But I don't mean that as detrimentally,
I think, I think both of those. See, in Pokemon Origins, once again, for those that aren't aware, is it's just a tale. It's just a few. It's 4 episodes of detailing, the first game in its entirety, and that's another amazing time, and it was really well done. And it's not necessarily that I want Twilight Wings specifically, but just more of those side stories, or just more in a full objective view of the world. Where we can explore it, because I think there's so much there. And now I think Ash, at least in my eyes, has...
Let me pitch you on the Pokemon Magna unofficially. It's wild. The gym leader, half the gym leaders are trying to take over the world. The other half of the gym leaders are working for Team Rocket. The other half of the gym leaders are good guys trying to stop those gym leaders. Red is, at one point... The battles are very severe. At one point, I think it was one of the trainers was fighting a Team Rocket member, I think. It was Pinsir versus Arbok. And so Pinsir had the Arbok in its claws, clutches, whatever the ephemera is at the beginning. Cuts it straight into...
There's also some Magmar that get frozen.
Holy shit.
And then they get shattered. Frozen, dude. He does it. I don't remember what Pokemon does it, but it's basically a fatality, dude. It's some Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero spine rip shit. It's so insane that they would do that.
It's crazy, I would say.
That's amazing. No, I'm totally sold.
But it's not even Adult Swim. It's more HBO After Dark. Airing right after the Spawn cartoon.
Pokemon was on HBO.
Yeah, God, that's the dream. Although Detective Pikachu was available on your HBO Max. So.
Well, it's on. Don't worry, it's on the queue. Detective Pikachu will be watched. Andrew, I guess to flip it on you, what is your ideal? Is that your ideal world? Is the manga, or is there like another?
Yeah, I would say seeing an adaptation of the manga, like a world similar to that, is something I would be the most interested in.
Obviously, there are limits to what will be created because overall, like Pokemon is definitely for the money, right? Like they're gonna do what they're gonna do to profit. So like a lot of these aggro, maybe less, a little more mature series probably aren't going to get greenlit for full viewing. But as many discussions as possible on slightly more mature events would be great. And that's the one, I guess, main gripe I had with the show beyond the Dynamax, how at least thus far it hasn't hit too much of beyond a very, very surface level, those emotional points. I didn't watch Sun and Moon too much, but I do recall the episode that I recall the most is an episode where, oh my gosh, I can't think of the name. Huge dog Pokemon. Stoutland. So there's an episode with Stoutland and Litten, and Stoutland is very old and decrepit, and he's taking care of a stray Litten on the side of the road. I mean, the damn dog is Pokemon, my bad. The Pokemon is incredibly old, and spoiler alert,
Whoa,
whatever.
dude.
He dies. He dies of old age. Yeah, right. Like in a lot of Litten's character arc, and there was a character arc of him dealing with that death. And like I want that. I want those themes that maybe like are a little more serious and don't have to be taken in a super heavy way.
But it doesn't
with
hurt.
Guts and Arbok getting chopped in half. Be able to address
Damn,
those
this
things.
is gonna be like really kid-like of me. I'm just thinking. I want to see my journey on the television. You know what I mean? I want to see that fight I had on Mount Mood against the Million Zubat. Like I want to see that on the screen, basically animated, like the same way I imagined it in my head, which is basically how I saw it on the show when I was a kid.
No, I mean I think that's the power of Pokemon. Like I wholeheartedly agree with you. I want to be transported into that world.
Even as it applies to like my younger cousins. Like way younger cousins. I have an avenue to relate with them. I'm like, yeah, I can tolerate this show. I actually kind of like it a bit. That's something to share. I mean, again, I personally wouldn't consume it, but, you know, it's not bad as it is.
The spirit, while it is a little more immature and while there is some sort of gimmicks that I don't necessarily appreciate and definitely don't see myself voluntarily going back and watching another 12 episodes back to back to back, I definitely think the spirit is alive. Overall, and I'm glad that we have Pokemon in this world.
My next pitch is Digimon.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Right. Yeah, well, thank you for bearing with us for our first ever real pitch. Andrew has got a little special surprise for us for pitch number 2.
All right. Until Zack Snyder's Pokemon movie can come out, I have an alternative pitch. I don't want to promise too much on the first pitch, but what if I told you there was a perfect movie? Clocks in at a breezy 90-ish minutes, has quite a few voices you should recognize from your childhood, but it is an all-ages movie. It's equally viable as a date night movie, as much as a wholesome all with your family movie. Also, I mentioned it on the last podcast for its commentary with masks. What could I interest you in, Sharks, in this pitch?
All right.
What was that?
Take that as a yes. We're watching The Princess Bride.
The Princess Bride. Okay.
We did not rehearse what to say once the pitch was over.
Fight Club. I was going to be like, whoa.
No, I didn't quite hear you there, but whoa. Princess Bride. So this is your idea of a perfect film, huh?
Yeah, it's up there. It's up there with the Casablancas, My Cousin Vinny's.
Damn, okay. Well, the stage is set. The stakes are high, Andrew, and I'm willing to judge your opinion here. I personally, I have zero familiarity with The Princess Bride, which may sound crazy, but I don't know, because I feel like a lot of people definitely have talked about it, and it's very well known still to this day, but yeah, definitely just hasn't been in my line of sight. I'm excited.
I think you'll find once you get started, you're more familiar with it than you think you are. Like, you're going to say, oh, I've heard people say that line. I've heard that line. So that's something to look for.
Quotable.
Anybody want a peanut?
I guess that is pitch numero dos for us. We are going to be obsessing over The Princess Bride for the next 7 days, and we invite you to do that with us while we watch The Princess Bride, study The Princess Bride, live The Princess Bride, and breathe The Princess Bride. Make sure to follow this podcast, spread the word, follow us on social media that we don't have yet, but eventually we might probably will. Spam us with all your questions, thoughts, criticisms, hate mail, love mail, and make sure to interact with us by wasting your next couple weeks obsessing over The Princess Bride. Cue Space Rock.